Hey everyone, welcome to Books, Girls, and Purrs. My name's Leslie, and guess what? This is my second time recording because the first time I accidentally went live. uh, that would be something I do. All right, so today we are tackling a book tag, the book first date tag. I was tagged by the lovely Miss Pat from Book Chat with Pat. Thank you very much, lovely. I love these book tags, especially when they're kind of like short and sweet, because I can make them happen. And I'm just kind of getting through all the tags. I have quite a few to catch up to. So, first question: what books do you regret buying? Oh, regret buying. Regret buying. It's pretty rare that I regret buying a book, but I did I did read a book earlier this year. I talked about it before. It was like a collection of poetry, and I like the cover, and it did mention like the singer Selena, and I thought like, okay, maybe this is something I'd like to read, and it ended up being very like exploitive in nature. Um, Let me see. I also read Rent by Chuck Palahniuk, uh, and I just didn't care for any of the characters. So I have read a couple of books by Chuck Palahniuk, uh, but it had been a while. Maybe I got really lucky with the ones that I had picked before because I have enjoyed his work in the past, but not Rent. Rent was not it. I could barely get through it. I just didn't care about anything that was going on. And so it definitely felt like more of an exercise in like the technique of writing versus a reader actually caring about a narrative. But that's how I felt. Two, do you DNF books? Why or why not? At what point do you DNF if you do? How much time do you generally invest before DNFing? I've come a long way with this. I've typically had a difficult time DNFing books because I feel like, well, if I don't like a book, I would rather read the whole book so I could discuss why the book didn't work for me. It's just, I want to give the author more credit than not reading a book and then saying I didn't like it. I just don't think that's really fair to the author. But over time, especially this past year, I'm trying to take advice from other people and just realize like, I'm only on this earth for so long. If a book's not gelling with me, like, why am I just torturing myself? Because if I'm not into a book, it takes me even longer to finish it if I try to force myself to finish it. Let me see. Rant was I like DNF that kind of early on. I felt like I gave it a try. Maybe got one third into it, if that. And I took a peek at the ending. I tried looking up reviews, spoiler reviews. There are very few out there just because I think people don't want to spoil the ending because it's a twist. And yeah, I still didn't like that. So my technique now is probably going to be like taking a peek at the end of the book if it's really not gelling for me. But I don't know. As far as like how much time I invest, it varies. It varies. But I've had quite a few books this year. Like this year is just a funky reading year. There have been other years in the past where I felt like banger after banger after banger, every single book I read is good. Not this year. This year has been like a bit of a slog at times. If you've watched any of my buddy reads with my friend Sam, for our Lust and Lawless series, where we read one book that's a romance, once that's like a murder mystery or like thriller, um, and like the link between the both books has to be like a culinary element. But those books haven't really been like, not that they're necessarily bad, but they just haven't been working for us. And actually, I take that back. One of them was really bad to the point where we really had to get into it. about that book, and it's pretty rare. That's like really rare for me. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's been a wild year. So 3, is there a book you did not want to come to an end? Couldn't put down. Um, oh dang, you know what? There's a name of a romance. And as you know, it's been a journey for me reading romances. Oh my gosh. It's called Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. Even though it was a romance, that wasn't really the part that tugged at my heartstrings, strings, or made me want to stay in the world. It was the characters. The characters that the author wrote felt like people I would want to be friends with, and so I didn't want to leave the world because I don't want to leave the characters. They're just so sweet and genuine. There's something about that like quality that really like tugged at my heartstrings. So Out on a Limb really did that for me. Have you experienced withdrawal after finishing a specific book? Not wanted to move on to other characters, wanted to reread the whole book or sections of it again immediately after finishing it. Yes, I have one here. That would be Andre Assman's Call Me by Your Name. I've read he has a memoir out of Egypt that's really good, but this book I read it so quickly. This is not the only one. There's another one that really works, but there's something about like how he captures someone's thought, and those thoughts are like meandering, and um, like he captures yearning well, but also like uh, having a crush someone at a young age, and all these like big feelings you're suddenly dealing with. The author just like captured that really beautifully. And then the other book I would say is Winter Counts by David Heska Wandley Whedon. This is going to become a series, and it's kind of like a thriller murder mystery. I read this, I'm telling you, not even a whole day, a couple of hours within the night, I believe, if I remember. It's been a while. But this was a book that I could not put down. I love the characters. There are even some side characters that really have their like fully fleshed out arc themselves that you really don't think is going to happen, because the author's juggling quite a bit in this. But I enjoyed it. I love the characters. I love the protagonist. I found myself. This is also another book where I was like, oh, I can't wait to return to this world and what else the author has to say and what he wants to unfurl in a mystery. So yeah, this author has also contributed to a short story that was quite, I'd say, like rough and graphic and hard to read in another collection that I read. So he's just an incredibly talented writer. So yeah, check those out. What keeps you invested in a book? Mostly character. My go-to answer is if a book, mm, if a book has like really great like character development, character arc, and decides to sacrifice plot in order to serve the purpose of character, I'm all for it. I'm fine with it. Not a lot of writers can do that, but when they do it well, you got me. Another book that kind of does that would be, I'm going to give you an example. Legends and Lattes. I kind of feel like so many people talk about this book, so it's kind of feels like a little bit overhyped. And I've been thinking about this more and more. Like, why did this work so well for me and also for so many others? And I think I finally figured it out. This book, yes, it takes place in like a fantasy world. So for those that are like big fans of like D&D, there's a draw for them. But I feel like it's the D&D version of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And I think that's like the best way to quickly explain why someone should pick this up. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood is like PBS children's programming. That's what I was would watch quite a bit when I was young. And there's like a slower pace to it. Unlike now where like even like fast graphics in animation or movies, it's just like at a it's just like incredibly busy, right? And I think that's something that Mr. Rogers caught on to and decided that that's not actually probably not good and that he wanted to do something different. So, yes, everything's slow paced. Um, and also, it's about engaging with community and thinking about everyday items that we use in the home that we love, but valuing them because of all the hard work that gets put into making them. Like, for instance, crayons. So, Mr. Rogers will leave his home and he'll go to like a factory that makes crayons and whatnot. And that always stuck out to me. And I bring that all up because, yes, there's a character here who's an orc and decides to leave the life of adventure and violence behind to start like a coffee shop, basically. And they start a coffee shop in a place where no one really even knows what coffee is. They call it bean water in here. And so this character doesn't even quite know how they're going to make this all happen. And one by one, different people in the community join the main character, Viv, to make their cafe come to life. And this cafe cannot really come to life unless there's community engagement, community support. And even when they don't believe in themselves, there's always someone else to encourage them. And so, yeah, that definitely gives me Mr. Rogers vibes. So now I really get why I love this book so much. So definitely something I felt like invested in. There's a prequel, which I wasn't really keen on, and there's also going to be a sequel, which I look forward to for that. What prompts you to pick up a book cover blurb on the back of the book? Oh, goodness. What prompts me to pick it up? You know what? Iconography at times, like all I see is violence is one. Like this is just a staggering cover that caught my eye. The title alone is intriguing. It makes you it provokes question basically. So if it provokes a question, I'm there. I'm definitely interested in all like a saturation of color on a cover art is also intriguing. So yeah, I don't really. It's kind of vague, but that's what works. Do you keep finished books to reread or do you unhaul them? Mostly, I keep books. I'm trying to start the practice of letting go of books, but depending on the material and what I talk about on BookTube, I really do need to hold on to those books because I tend to make references. Like if I see connections between one author and another, especially maybe what they're trying to convey, like thematically, then I'm going to want to have that book on hand. It's just been a very helpful resource. But I am definitely unhauling books that have not been working for me this year. And previous years, you would have not seen me do that. But I've definitely like culled quite a few books from my shelves. But the thing is, I don't just like toss them out or anything. I stop by my local coffee shop, is it Damn Coffee or Damn Good Coffee? And there's like a little basket there. There's like a take a book, leave a book, free little library thing. So I always bring my books there. And then sometimes I pick up books for free. But it's just been my system because at least I know someone else is going to read it. Someone else is going to like it if it doesn't work for me. 8. Who or what do you trust most for book recommendations? Who or what? Oh, wow. Um, mm, who really piques my interest? Well, Margaret Bernard is one. Margaret Bernard has a a YouTube channel. I'm sure you know because I mentioned her before, and she'll be in the chat. But she's also a historical fiction, speculative fiction, fantasy writer, and so I trust their recommendations, especially since they read uh, quite a bit of nonfiction. I'm also interested in nonfiction, and mm, there's a little bit of crossover between what she likes and what I like. I'm trying to think about who else. Nkechi from Library of Wonder is another person I feel like I trust their recommendations. I'm trying to think more for like comic books for some reason. There's also Jeff from Jeff's Comic Book Corner from Drunk Banthas. It's like a segment, and he's always on there like on Tuesdays. He has some good recommendations, and I'm trying to think about who else. Oh, there's Fantastic Frankie, who has a channel, and they also have like work for DC now, which is so wildly cool to see someone that I admire on YouTube do something like that. So, I mean, they read a ton of comics, so I really trust their recommendations as well. Bonus question. Would you ever pick up a book and read it without knowing anything about it? Or conversely, let someone else choose your book for you? Blind date. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I pick up books all the time and don't necessarily read too much about them, but I like that. I like that experience of being surprised by the material rather than me spoiling the book for myself. Let me see. I would yeah, I wouldn't mind having someone give me a book to read. I don't necessarily always trust other people's recommendations, which doesn't make any sense because I'm definitely down for the blind date. What's the name of the bookstore? Village Well Bookstore. I haven't been there in a while, but I used to talk about them all the time. Um, there's a book I have that basically I spent like so much money, so I got like a blind date with a book. Basically, it was like around their celebratory anniversary, and I opened the book, and it turns out it's a kind of book that I would definitely read, and but it's still on my shelf. I just have this readathon going on for the next 2 years, so I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but it's covering the kind of material that I'm interested in exploring. So that was kind of wild to pick up a book that I didn't know was going to work so well. So talk about like a perfect blind date. And lastly, tag other people. If you're watching this and you want to do tag, consider yourself tagged. Other than that, I will tag a couple of people when I release this. But this is a short and sweet one. I'm glad I'm keeping up pretty good with these tags. And if you're watching this, thank you so much for spending time with me. I always appreciate that people have like these bookish conversations. So thank you so much. And just remember, life is chaos. So be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and read more books. Bye.